All right, more physics. This is another typical test question. A dog's mass doubles over a period of 18 months. The specific metabolic rate is equal to mass to the negative one third. Which of the following correctly relates to the metabolic rate of the dog when it is large to when it is small? All right, so in the last episode, we were doing some math, right? And we determined that when a all right, so it said something about how when the dog's mass doubles, the surface area to volume ratio is only 79% of what it used to be, or whatever. So now we need to figure out a way to equate this to metabolic rate. So a dog's mass doubles over a period of 18 months. The metabolic rate per unit of mass is equal to mass to the negative one fourth. Which of the following correctly relates the metabolic rate of the dog to when it is large to when it is small? So what you're going to do is, all right, so if metabolic rate of the small dog is equal to mass to the negative one fourth, then that means that the metabolic rate to the small dog is going to be the ratio of 2 divided by 1 to the negative one fourth. So how would this work? So for example, if mass is negative to the one fourth, so 1 to the negative one fourth is 1 to the negative, or we'll just use a better number. So 2 to the negative one fourth is 0.84. And then 4 to the negative one fourth is 0.70. So, all right. So it looks like as mass doubles, obviously the metabolic rate is not going to be obviously proportional to that, right? So there has to be an equation for something that we can use here. So we can write out MR small, so metabolic rate of small dog equals mass to the negative one fourth, right? So that is equal to the mass of the small dog. And then the mass doubles. So because the thing is the metabolic rate is it's not going to be A. The metabolic rate isn't just double because it gets larger. There's an equation here. But I'm still like kind of confused on how to figure out how we get there. So We know that if the so if we know if the size of the dog doubles, right? Mass is a unit of size cubed. So if the size doubles, then the mass of the dog is going to triple, right? So that means that if we know that the metabolic rate of the small dog is equal to mass to the negative one fourth, and mass is going to triple, then that means that the metabolic rate of large dog would be equal to 3 multiplied by mass to the negative one fourth. Okay? So, how can we create this into a ratio? Right? Um, so, first of all, we can set it equal. We can say 3 mass to the negative one fourth is equal to mass to the negative one fourth of the small dog. So mass should be 3 times bigger, you would think, but that's not an option here. Or maybe perhaps my math is wrong here. I'm just very confused. Because it should just be 3 times the mass, right? Well, I'm going to move forward, but it will tell me the answer. All right. So small dog is equal to mass to the negative one fourth. Yup. Small metabolic rate equals metabolic rate divided by mass proportional to. I feel like this is a kind of an unfair question because they didn't quite explain like how you even get these numbers. Like say mass multiplied by small metabolic rate. How am I supposed to know how to calculate metabolic rate? A specific metabolic rate. Am I supposed to know the equation for metabolic rate for physics? Are they going to ask me the metabolic rate of a frog on a physics exam? Am I going to need to know that shit? I guess so. Because intuitively, like you would understand it's not 2, and it wouldn't be these 2 either. So it's either this one or this one. How they get to those numbers, I don't know. I really don't know, man. I'm going to be honest with you. It's very confusing. What does r squared tell us? The closer r squared is to 1. All right, so r squared is from statistics, right? So because I've done a statistics class, And an R squared is basically this formula that you use. You put all the numbers together, and the closer R squared is to one, tells you how correlated the data is. So if you have a group of numbers and you put them together using the R data, if you get a correlation factor of 0.9%, which is R squared, you know that, well, 0.95%, you know the data is 95% correlated, right? But that's just a statistics thing. So I don't know why they're just telling us this in a lecture with no context for all the people that have never done these courses before. That's why university is extremely difficult, because you have TAs that have care about that are terrible at grading the test. You have lectures that ask you questions that aren't even relative to the class, and you have exams that ask you questions that aren't even relative to the exams. So it's extremely difficult to study unless you just have to do practice exams. You have to kind of understand the material, mainly just doing practical exams, and pray that you have a lenient grader, because they'll literally just mark points off for anything. That's why college is terrible. I'm telling you, bros, if you're a 17, 18-year-old kid or 16 and you're in high school, first thing you do when you graduate from high school, go to trade school. Don't waste your time going to university. Like maybe do like community college, like if it's like one of those free programs or it's cheap and then you can do it like easy on the side. But like, bro, go to trade school. Like, actually go get a job, but you can make some money, bro. Like, don't waste your time doing this university shit unless your parents are paying for it. Like, it's a waste of your time. Don't do it. My parents are kind of forcing me to do it, so I don't really have a choice. Well, not like forcing me to do it, because like I can afford to live on my own. It's not like I'm scared it's gonna kick me out and I'm gonna be homeless, which I was homeless at one point, and it wasn't even that bad. But I'm grinding to get my degree. But just college sucks, man. It's a grind. It's a grind. It's the trenches. It's certainly not easy. And the sad thing about it is most people who even get a university degree can't even get a fucking job afterwards. That's why it's so difficult. So it's like, what do you do? Right? But all right. Types of functions. So we have linear functions, right? So linear, y equals mx plus b. That's basic algebra. Power law. Power law. Y equals ax to the b power. And exponential law. Y equals n to the a to the kx, and n, a, and k are constants. The variable x is the power to which a constant is raised. So it looks like everything is constant besides x, which would make sense. Choosing a function. Imagine you are given some data and you need to find the relation between y and x. Plotting the data is a good first step. But what next? Problem one. What function do you choose? What are the values of the constants in your chosen function, logarithms and graphing? Okay. So it's not a linear line. It looks like a downward exponential slope here, is what it looks like. Logarithms. The logarithm of a number to a given base is the power to which the base must be raised to get that number. So if a to the c equals b, then log to the a to the b equals c. This is like one of those questions, one of those formulas. This is a good page here to have. This is a good page here to have, just like from the previous episode where I got these unit measurements, because I don't even know if I'll need to know them. But just these are like the formulas. So this says logarithm rules. Log to the m to the k equals like, yeah. So these are just like those formulas, right? Like before like you take a chemistry exam or whatever. Because I crushed gym chem when I was in high school because I was did community college. It's like one of those formulas. Like you don't really need to even quite understand how they work. You don't even need to understand what logarithms are. You literally just write down the formulas, and before the exam, you just look at them and you read them out, and you make sure you have them memorized in your brain. So when you take the exam, you can just whip the formula out, and you know how to do the little calculation, and then you can get a good grade. That's how I had a 4.6 GPA in high school and I made all A's on everything because I wasn't one of those kids that fucked around in high school and just did all the bullshit courses. Like I was in legit like a community college, early college program where I was doing like calculus when I was like 16 years old, and Gen Chem 1 and 2, and I did high school physics class, and now I'm doing university physics 4 years later because when I graduated high school, I've been busy with some other things and working and trying to become a paramedic. Hopefully, bro. What is it? It's February. Hopefully in May I'll be a paramedic. This year it's been crazy. It's been like nearly 2 years of training, and then once I get my paramedic, I'll be 20 years old, and I can get like a trade job making like near two grand a week, bro. That'll be nice. Literally be on six figures, which is unheard of, bro, for like a 20-year-old dude, bro. So I'm telling you, go to trade school, man. Like, make some money, do something with your life. It's actually productive. And then logarithm rules. Yeah, so these are just formulas that I need to know. So this will be screenshotted and put down in a Google document. I will memorize. Given that 3 squared equals 9, which of the following is true? So we just said that. All right, so they just told us the logarithm rule. So if a, which is 3, is c equals 9, then that means log of 3 to the 9 equals 2. So log to the 3 of 9 equals 2. So it should be a. Booyah, we did it. Good find there. Take the log of a power law. Take the log of both sides of the equation. So this is just showing us some more log rules of y equals ax plus b. You can do log of y equals log. So log of y equals log of x plus b plus log of a. So that's how you can get, yeah, so cool. That's another thing that will be screenshotted and printed out and studied before the exam. Make sure it is in my brain and I know it. And this is the log. If log of a equals 1, if log is same base as I. Cool. I'm telling you, bro. I'm 20 years old. Basically, learned the entire paramedic curriculum. So obviously, I have the competency to not do this for the rest of my life. I'm not dumb. So legitimately, physics and organic chemistry and taking the MCAT is the only thing stopping me from becoming a doctor, which is interesting at this point. Because 4 years ago, I was kind of like, yeah, I kind of want to be a doctor, and it was just kind of an idea that floated out there. And that's when I was like just getting started with this kind of pre med grind, and now I'm like 20, and I'm just like, yeah, like I'm I'm up there. Like I'm one of them guys. Like I'm closer than I think. Out of all the people that you know that I knew from high school that like said they were gonna do this, like I'm still on the same track, which is good. 4 years in. Typical test question. graph blank corresponds to the linear relationship between x and y. Graph blank corresponds to an exponential, and graph blank responds to power law. Okay, so all right. So x and y, this is the linear one, right? So 3 is the linear relationship. So the exponential relationship, I really don't know because these are all like linear lines, but how what they become when you make them logarithms, I don't know. So if we go back to this equation, so this is the power law, and this is the exponential one. So it looks like in the exponential one, the x is outside of the log. So I'm going to say that 1 is the exponential and 2 is the power law. So I'm saying graph 3 corresponds to the linear relationship. The exponential relationship corresponds to 1, and then 2 corresponds to the power law. That's just a guess. I really don't know. I'm going to say it's D. I got it right. Didn't even know it. Is there like an explanation about it? Key idea. If you graph your data and it falls along a straight line on a linear plot, then the data is described by a linear function. If you graph your data and it falls along a straight line on a log plot, then the data is described by a power log function. If you graph your data and it falls along a straight line on a semi-log plot, then the data is exponential. Yeah, so that's good information. I remember, like, because I was like 16, I did really, really good on the math at the SAT. So, like, I would play around, like, literally my free time for a couple hours every day. There was a website called like Desmos. Like, everyone that did like math in high school remembers this. Website. You would like just like play around. You would draw little graphs, especially when you do like calculus, bro. You just start messing around with like all these little functions. And yeah, I remember being like 16 years old and I was doing like calculus and I was doing like all these advanced mathematics. And like I thought, I was like, yeah, like when I'm an adult, I want to be like a super mathematician. I'm going to become like a nuclear scientist. I'm going to learn how to build a bomb. And now I'm just like a 20-year-old kid doing drop shipping and trading crypto and doing paramedic class and donating my plasma so I can pay my car insurance. It's crazy how the world works, bro. But yeah, that's a crazy time, man. Um, cool. Yeah, so I got that right. Interesting. So we said that this is the linear, that's the exponential, and that's the power law. I have no idea how to make. I don't even know what a logarithmic um, graph even means. We can figure it out though. Log of x. Who even came up with logarithm? Who like decided the math on this that we now just use in all of our math classes and made make kids study by the time they're like 15 years old? Who invented logarithms? Probably some guy in the 1800s. John Napier, is that his name? In the 17th century, with some yeah. So we make we make dudes study math that was made by a guy. So 17th century, that was yeah. So 20th century was the 1900s. So that means 17th century was like in the 1600s. So we literally we study math by some dude that came up with all the stuff like 400 years ago. It was wild, bro. I need to grow my hair out, man. It's cut too short. It doesn't look good when I do these little lectures. Remember there was another like what was it? Another YouTube video that I did. It was like over a year ago. This was when I was still like training and going to the gym every day. But like 2025, I don't know. I just stopped being really consistent on going to the gym. And that probably hasn't been good for like my appearance or like looks maxing. But yeah, bro, this was like finals 2024. It's like over a year ago. And I just feel like my haircut looked a little bit better. I was a handsome young guy in this one, bro. I'm talking about Venus and this shit. LOL. Um, yeah, bro. Definitely 2025. Need to get back in the gym, bro. I need to get back into training. I was a real big gym guy in high school and like eating clean. And then obviously, like this last year, was just like working every single day, doing clinicals for my paramedic class and like just working a lot and just like going to the gym and like trying to look smacks like wasn't like a priority at all for me because it's not like I was trying to cold approach girls every day like I did in 2024 when I was 18. So, but I'll get back into it though. I know I will because of my consistency and obviously now that I'm dedicated to making a lot more content and growing a social media brand. So obviously with making content, like your appearance is a very big part of obviously how you're perceived online. So you obviously need to try to be in the best shape you can be at all times and obviously improve your appearance. So I've been watching a lot of all that clavicular guy because he's my age and he sells like his looks maxing courses. And I thought about buying his school community. It was like $50 a month. I'm sure there'll probably be some things I can learn in there, but I'm just like I don't really need to spend money on this. Like you just need to get back in the gym and you need to start like prioritizing sleep and eating healthy and like like grow my hair out because I have really curly hair. So when it grows out, it like looks nice, but it's just like it's a lot. It's really difficult to manage. Like you have to constantly like put water or put product in it to make sure like it doesn't look like all like frisky or whatever. Yeah. But I feel like genetically, like I'm not an ugly guy. Like I feel like at the core, like I'm a decently good looking dude. But that's the whole point. You can be a person, you can have like good genetics, but like if you're not prioritizing like just training and being in shape, like you're not gonna look as good as the guy that's like genetically not as good looking, but he works out every day. That's the thing about the world, man. Is like if you literally just like you go to the gym and you eat healthy and you prioritize sleep, you can be and you do that consistently. Like you're not one of those guys like goes to the gym for like a week and then just like gets and then stops going. Like you're a consistent like gym goer 3 to 4 times a week. You eat clean, you prioritize sleep. Like you can be literally not the best looking guy, but if you do that consistently, you can be attractive than more attractive than like 90% of the male population just by doing those things alone. It's crazy, man. It's crazy how dating works, bro. Because I have a lot of experience like cold approaching girls, and just from like what I've learned, like if you want to get a girl, like most of the time you don't even have to be the best guy. Like you can be broke, like but as long as you're like fun to be around and you can like evoke emotion, you can make them feel a certain way. Like they'll date you over a guy that like has money or is objectively doing better than life than you. But say like he's like fat or something. It's just interesting how it works, bro. Like I don't know. Like I've learned a lot, truthfully. Like a lot of dudes would be like, "Oh, like I'm broke. I can't get a girlfriend." I'm just like, bro, if you're broke, like that really doesn't matter. Like they don't care. Like women do not care if you're broke. I think they want to see that you have the potential to earn money, but I mean, no girl, like just in my personal experience, like when I try to talk, like when I was younger and I was getting into investments, I remember I was like 17 and like I was like 17, like I worked a lot. I had like 40 grand in my bank account when I was like 17 years old because I worked. And I remember like trying to like flirt with some girl by telling her like, oh yeah, like I got like 30K in my stock trading account, thinking it would like impress her, and it just like it bores them out of their minds. Like women, like they don't care about money, like they don't care a lot about the material things I feel like a lot of men think they care about, which is interesting. And it's like especially I feel like a lot of guys like they'll try to impress women with like money and stuff like and like bro it just doesn't work. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if a girl is already like obsessed with you and she like already really likes you, and you spend money on her and you give her gifts and trips, like, yeah, like that's gonna work. But like, if a girl like already doesn't like you and she's already mentally checked out, especially if it's like an ex girlfriend, and you're like throwing money at her thinking it's gonna work, and you're begging her to come back, like, bro, it just does not work. I don't know. That was a little side ramble there, but I'm gonna get back to studying physics. Did I take a screenshot of that? Yeah, I put it on here. Yeah, I did. All right, typical test question. In humans, forelimb length is related to body length by the following function. So, forehead length is 0.32 to the b to the 1.28 power. Choose the option that best completes the following sentence. On a log-log plot, the y-intercept of this function. So, y-intercept. So, let's go back to Desmos because this has been so long. So, I've done, like, bro, I haven't done algebra in like forever. I'm telling you. So this is the y-axis, right? So the y-intercept would be the point at which x equals 0 and it crosses the y-axis, right? So the y-intercept of this function would be, so it would be 0.32, right? Because when b equals 0, so when x equals 0, y would be 0.32. So the y-intercept of this function would be 0.32, and the slope would be 1.28. This would be because remember in the last episode we said that if the exponent is greater than 1, then that means that um, one is growing faster than the other, right? So I'm pretty sure like it would be upward trending. It would be more slope, so it would be 1.28. So I'm thinking it's A, but it is a log graph. So if it's a log graph, it might be like zero point 0.1 if it's asking me to plug it into a calculator. But I'm thinking it's A. If it was a linear graph, it should be A, but if it's a log graph, I have no idea. All right, so it's C because all right, so if log of so I think it's saying because what's log of 0.32? Log of 0.32 is negative 0.49, and then 1.28 is right. I guess this goes back to a log plot. I guess I don't quite understand how to make a. Oh, so this is a log plot. So on a log plot, right? On a log plot, then the y-intercept would just be log of x, which would be log of 0.32, which is negative 0.49. And the slope would still be rise over run. So I guess the slope would be unchanged. Yeah, that's complicated, man. I'm gonna have to do a lot more test questions because if I took this exam today, I'll be cooked for real, bro. Because log of 1.28 is point, yeah, it's 0.11. So that'll be a tricky question. Because I guess the slope wouldn't be affected. Interesting, man. In humans, head length is related to body length by the following function. If you want to write this in the form of y equals ax plus b, what will be the value of b? All right, so look, we have a way to equate this. So this gives us a log formula, and it's asking us to equate it back to the power law. So we have the ability to do that. So this is the power law, right? So if we already have log of, say, h is equal to 0.72 log of x minus 0 oh, minus 0.30. And it's asking us to rewrite this into the power law. What would be the value of b? Okay, cool. So this is what we have. So in this scenario, h is equal to y, and then b b would be 0.72 and a would be negative 0.3 and x. Yeah, so if I'm right, if this works out like I should, the new equation should be y equals 0.3 to the x to the 0.72, which means b should just be 0.72. What would the value of b be? But I guess that's not right because oh yeah, 0.72 is an option. I didn't see it at first. So we'll say D. Yep, let's go. So B is 0.72. Cool. And then what would be the value of A? We just wrote that out. So A would just be negative 0.3. So it'd be B, right? No, it's not. So oh yeah, because so log of A. I guess it's saying it's directly equal to it. So I guess yeah, man, this is complicated algebra. Apparently, log to the negative 3 gives you error in your calculator, which, because I don't remember any algebra stuff. So I guess logs of negative numbers give you errors. So it's not 0.3. Yeah, I guess you would have to do it like that. Interesting. So, all right. So, yeah, so that'll be wrong. It would be 0.5. And just as a general rule of thumb, if log of A is equal to negative 0.3, if we want to find A, we do A equals 10 to the negative zero point 0.3, and that will give us 0.5. I'm telling you, man, to do good on these exams, you don't even need to necessarily understand how things work. You just got to understand how to do it. And then when you're asked again, you'll know how to plug into your calculator to get the correct answer. Because that's what's important, right? The number n of bacteria in a sample as a function of time is modeled by the following function. Choose the option that best completes the following sentence. On a plot of log versus time, the y-intercept of this function would be and the slope would be. So, all right, so this is power law. So this is y equals ax to the b multiplied by, oh wait, no, so this is exponential. So in this situation, n is 1,000 and k is 0.41 and t is time. All right, so on a plot of that versus time, the y-intercept of this function would be, the y-intercept would be because the y-intercept will be when x is 0. So when time is 0, I'm pretty sure, yeah, wouldn't it be 1,000? Because, yeah, I remember anything to the 0 with power would be 1. So it would just be 1,000 multiplied by log. Can you type E in the calculator? You can. It's been so long since I've done any of this, man. So E to the 0.41 multiplied by 0, which should just be E. So it should be 1,000. So the y-intercept would be 1,000, and the slope would be, so the number of bacteria in a sample as a function of time is modeled in the following function. All right. So, and the slope would be, so it's either C or D. So we first need to figure out, well, yeah, so the slope you would think would just be this, right? So it should be D. No, it's B. What the hell, man? So, all right, that's interesting, bro. Log of 1,000? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. Why? Why am I crashing out over math that I understood years ago that I'm now having to do again to get this stupid degree so I can get employed? All right, bro. Okay. Yeah, I don't quite understand that. So if I plot this 1,000, of e to the that's why I'm so confused. That's why I'm legitimately so confused. Because if you literally write out this function that shouldn't be the case. Oh, but it's saying on a plot of log of n. So if n is equal to 1,000, then yes, the y-intercept would be log of 1,000, which would be 6.9, and the slope would be the same. I just didn't read the problem correctly because it's 11 p.m. at night and I'm tired and I'm just basically pounding white monsters to stay awake because I'm tired. And I'm stuck in the snow at my parents' house, and I haven't been able to go to work for 2 weeks because my job site's been closed. So I haven't gotten paid for 2 weeks, and I have bills to pay, and I'm kind of frustrated. Not gonna lie, but I'm trying my best to study for the physics test so I can get ahead in life. Because life is extremely difficult, but I'm trying my best every day. That's all I got to do. Okay, cool. So round two. All right. So choose on a plot of log the y-intercept of this function would be, and the slope would be. So the slope should still stay the same, but the y-intercept would be log of 1,000, which would be 3. So it should be A. Please be A. No. Fuck, bro. All right, all right. So why does the slope stay the same in this one, but it doesn't in this one? That's some bullshit. So dude, I'm crashing out, dog. All right. So I guess did this come from the formula sheet? Is that where it came from? I'm so confused, dog. These questions are retarded. I wonder can I graph stuff on calculators? Can I write out functions on calculators on the T84 calculator? Can I just write out a calculator and see what the function is? Can I cheat my way to knowing to the correct answer by using a calculator? Let's find out if this works. Trying anything, dog. All right. So I want to make a note to learn how to graph. And I'm going to see if this works because I don't understand this shit. I don't know why the slope is different on that one, but on the same, this one is the same thing. I really don't know. So, so you're saying log to the e multiplied by 0.41 is equal to 0.18, which it is. I just don't quite know how you came up with that. Yeah, that just doesn't make sense to me. Why why on this one the slope would be the exact same thing, but how on this graph it's different. That just doesn't that doesn't make sense to me at all. Is this in any of the equations that we wrote down? It looks like to me it fucking isn't. So this is bullshit, dog. I don't know, man. But I'm gonna put in a note and say, find how to graph in calculator, because I know, like, especially on the T84, you can go over into like this. You can go into the graph thing, and you can write in the function that you want, and then you can like plot it, and it'll draw out the graph for you. I just don't know how to quite out put in like X or Y or like some of these things. So I'm gonna learn how to graph, and I think perhaps like if I know how to create the actual graph when I take the exam, or I don't even know if I need to use this or need to know how to do this on the MCAT, but if I can like draw it out and see it, I think that'll really help out with trying to understand how this actually works. Because as of right now, like I don't get how they came up with that, because this is bullshit, dog. But you got to know it for the test. So here's another question I'll probably get fucking wrong. For a different population of bacteria, the number of bacteria in is related to time by the following function of time. Which of the following correctly rewrite the function in the exponential form? All right, so let's go back to our handy formula sheet here. So we want to rewrite this logarithmic function into this one, right? So we have here, all right, so we can work in like reverse order here. So we already have log equals n equals 0.22 multiplied by t plus plus 3.7. Which of the following correctly rewrites this in the form of that? So now we just have to, we got to walk backwards here. All right. So we have this, which is why I'm confused. Because it is 3.7 log of n. Is that what that is? So is log of n. I'm just confused, bro. Just did a very poor job of explaining this shit. It's probably everyone else in my class is confused as hell too. Because you're giving these questions and we need to practice to know. And the formulas that you give them don't even fucking add up to it. But oh well. We'll figure it out. So y equals NA. All right. So I'm going to say it's going to be n equals n, a, and k should be constants. So n, a, and k should be constants. So we already know it's going to be n equals n to the a of k multiplied by x. And in this case scenario, x is t. So we already know this is going to be multiplied to the power of something t. So we now just need to find what is n, a, and k. So we need to find what three variables are. And we have 0.22 and we have 3.7. So yeah, man, I really don't know. I have no idea because I'm not familiar with E or what like there's no right. They never really went over how to calculate this shit. So why the fuck they asking me about it? So let's take a guess because I don't know what it is. So um, but like, isn't something to the 10th power and something to the e like? Isn't that the same thing? Like, isn't something to like e? If I remember correctly, no, it's not. Yeah, I really don't know. Well, I know 0.22, that's the slope, right? So I'm assuming that the slope would be the one with the E. And then 3.7, that's just that'll be the one with 10, I guess. So I guess it's C. We're gonna say it's C. Or we don't quite get it. I don't understand. It's A. I don't fucking know. It looks like they're not gonna explain it. Oh yes. Well, here are the notes. Let's look through the notes because I'm confused as shit. All right, so with this one, oh yeah. Well, let's go back to the one we just did. My brain's a bit fried. Yeah, I mean, maybe I just quite not too well versed on the algebra part of it, which is frustrating. Which is what makes it so hard because it's like they're asking questions about things that don't really relate to the class. So, I mean, I don't know. I just think like if you're going to ask us about how to use this logarithmic shit for physics, you need to give us a crash course and be like, hey, these is what the formulas fucking do. And you did, but these formulas don't fucking relate to the shit you're asking. So that's why it's frustrating, dog. So yeah, I'll have to look over this math and I'll have to understand how he solved the problems and just do the practice questions. And that's that, man.